Aryan is naturally one of the biggest talents, not only of Norwegian chess, but worldwide chess. He's only 23 years old, about 2660, top 100 player. I think he has all the potential to become 2700 level player. And when I was doing the preparation for the game, I was expecting two continuations. So naturally I play e4. I mean, why? Because I want to play e4 against very strong opponents. This is where I feel the most secure. And I thought, if he's gonna play e5, this is like a signal I don't mind a draw. If he is gonna play the Caracan, his second choice, he is in a fighting mood. So this is me probing. What do you want? Aryan played c6. I thought, okay, here we go. And I'm thinking, what should I play? I have a million combinations here. I can play d4, d5, e takes on d5. Yeah. And I've been playing this quite a lot, and I wrote a database for Modern Chess about exchange Caracan. I'm thinking, can I enter against him the advanced variation with the Caracan? He probably knows a lot more than me. He's gonna play something like bishop f5, knight f3, e6, these very critical lines with queen b6 and knight c6. No, I cannot do that. Then I'm thinking, can I play something weird, some old style, grandpa style, like d3, d5, and knight e2? But this is not a rapid game. And I'm clueless. What should I play? And the critical moment comes at this moment. I turn my head to the left. And I see Jon Ludvig Hammer is playing his game against Hans Tikkanen on board 3. So I was playing top board because we can freely change the order of the seating within some rating limit, something like 100 points. I'm not really sure. So Jon Ludvig Hammer, he is stronger than me. He has something like 2630. He was 2700. But we arranged it like I'm playing with white, he's playing with white, but they put me on the first board and Jon Ludvig to the third board. So I'm having a look at Jon Ludvig's board, and I see he's playing against Hans Tikkanen, knight of 3, d5, and d3. And I'm looking at their board, I'm thinking, wait a second, I've never seen this before.
I've enjoyed dozens of your boot camps. Thanks for all the interesting deep dives, especially the structure-based ones.
Oh wow, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Just a second, I'm gonna slightly update it. Okay. And I'm thinking, I mean, it's not like I have never seen it before, but I have never played it before. And I'm thinking, wait, what would happen if I would play this exactly the same as Jon Ludvig is playing on board 3 right now against Aryan? And I'm thinking, wait, but I've never played it before. I don't know this line. And the only thing in my mind, you know, there are 3 words. This is content. This is nuts. I mean, in the actual game, I'm thinking, this is content. Thank you, Carl Gilda. That's all I'm thinking. This is content. I'm gonna show it to you. So I said, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna play knight of 3, d5, and d3. This is exactly what I played. And I had no clue what is the theory here. I mean, I had some ideas like that after d takes, queen d1, king d1. There's this endgame where white is slightly pressing, and this is actually some deep stuff. And if you think this is ridiculous, this is not ridiculous. This is a very serious stuff. But the thing is, I don't know it. And I was thinking, is this a responsible thing? Is this a responsible thing to do against a top 100 player in the world? Can I do this? All I'm thinking, this is content. And yeah, the new computer line, exactly. So he plays very quickly knight of 6, and like, I'm like, oh my goodness. How do I not get worse? How do I not get worse here? And I'm thinking, okay, probably there's some 9d2, there's some 9d2. I don't remember a thing. I mean, I've seen it passing by. And actually, the main move here is knight f to d2, with the idea to play f3, for example. Black plays g5. I mean, yeah, why not? Why not play g5? a4, g4, a5, h5. Yeah, chill. This is the top-notch stuff, actually. And black is trying to get a lot of space at the king side. Or also, there's another continuation like knight e2, g6, and knight e1. Really? And after bishop g7, f3, and white is better. Can you imagine this? You put voluntarily your knight on d2 and e1. The kings on d1 cannot castle, and it's cool. I guess mainly because of these pawns, which are limiting black's pieces here. The knight on f6 and the bishop on g7. Yes, and the knight on g4 exactly is met by king e1. Yeah, okay, this I discovered after the game, and I completely forgotten about it. So I decided, okay, listen, I'm not gonna deny, I'm out of the book. So what's the normal move I can make here? Bishop d3. I'll give it there. Let me play. So Aryan starts to think, and I think, okay, this is good. This is good. This is good. He doesn't know it. And my idea was to play something like king e2, bishop e3, knight b to d2, and maybe a4, a5, try to grab space at the queen side. I felt, I mean, I cannot be worse, right? So here black has numerous choices. He played g6, which kind of surprised me. I felt that he had to play knight bd7, try to maybe push e5, bishop c5, get the normal development. And I'm not sure about the precise order of the moves, but I want to show you my mindset. I wanted to get this kind of structure, where if black takes on d3, I kind of press at the queen side. So I'm thinking b3, bishop b2, a4, a5, rook fc1, knight e5, and I wanted to utilize the power of my two knights against the black's bishop. But of course, I mean, black is not obliged to take on d3, so all of that is not very accurate. So he played g6, which is a very ambitious move. And I played h3. Great move, limiting this bishop here. There's no bishop g4, there's no knight g4. I was already very happy, and that was about to change very quickly. He played bishop g7, and yeah, some reverse fielder. And now I don't know with what I was thinking here, because c3 is what I usually play in similar positions. Hello, Witcher. c3, short castle, and king c2. And I want to grab space, let's say something like knight e7, bishop e3. If black decides to play a5, I play a4, knight e2. This is just better, because I control a lot of critical squares on the queen side. So this bishop on g7 actually is not guarding the critical dark squares like c5 and d6. And I'm not sure if black has to play e5, but if he doesn't do it, I mean, how do you combat the center? So that's why I think this idea of g6 and bishop g7, it was not very good. So I think Aryan was trying to recreate a line he knew from another line, if that makes sense. Anyway, I played knight c3. I had this stupid idea because I wanted to play for development of the pieces, which is knight c3, bishop f4. Of course, it felt that the knight on c3 is not doing anything. This I perfectly understood. But my big idea, I wanted to enter the following position, which I knew from a Russell Lima variation that sometimes there is this idea like bishop f4 to stop e5. Would f6, e5 make any sense? Yeah, it would, absolutely. Yeah, knight e7 is also a move, yeah. You know, this is what Engine really likes. Knight e7, bishop e3. Engine is chilling. Yeah, a5, grab space, not play e5, and all the pieces are very mobile. Like a5, knight a6, knight b4, knight c7, you know, I mean, there's a lot of maneuvers. Very interesting. This was a very interesting approach, but he did not do it. I think, you know, where was the problem? I did not understand the position, and neither did he. So very often the evaluation of the position was jumping like 0.5 in favor for me, 0.5 in favor for black, and this is like in a very peaceful position. So that was actually a bit comical. But wait, the best stuff is still to come. So I play bishop f4. Why is this? Because let's say I play bishop e3, he plays knight e7, king e2, and e5. And I was not very happy about it because he's gonna play something like knight h5, knight f4. So even with my conquest at the queen side, this could be risky. Well, probably it's fine. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna be playing really advanced chess. So my point is, now after knight bd7, I have to play e5 because I realized that after bishop h2, a waiting move, he plays e5 anyway. And the idea of knight h5, knight f4 is still there, which I know from the Russell Lima, which is a different structure, but kind of the same. There's a pawn on c5 and a pawn on d3, pawn on c5 for black and a pawn on d3 for white, but the idea is still the same. And after knight e5, there's knight e4. So this I saw, and this I realized, okay, listen, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. B takes bishop d7, I'm just terrible. So I thought, okay, listen, I have to play e5. And I'm calculating. Now check out this line. I'm calculating. He plays knight h5. I thought, oh, come on, this cannot work, right? Knight h5. I play bishop h2. This is a big threat. He might play bishop h6 with the idea to play knight f4. I thought, okay, that is interesting. But listen, I play knight e2, and I still have g4. And if he plays knight g7 to escape from the threat, I play bishop f4, I'm chilling. And it's maybe not an advantage, but something like take, rook e1 should be okay. I mean, maybe it's not fun, but should be okay. And I'm thinking, wait, he could play knight c5. And I'm thinking, wait, but I still win a piece after g4, right? No, apparently after rook d8, black wins. I was like, what? I discovered it after the game. And apparently here after g takes, knight e3, c takes, rook d3, I can't hallucinate it. I don't have knight e2. I saw this line. And there's just no response to this. Because indeed, after bishop h6, okay, I don't have to play knight e2. But knight f4 is such a powerful idea. If I don't play g4, what I'm doing here, because black wants to play rook d8. Good morning, Jim Silver. And there's no knight e1, because after knight e1, there's no more threat g5. He just plays knight g7. So my knight no longer is guarding the g5 square. So after the game, I had a discussion with Arjan, and I told him about this ridiculous line. Now this is from Swedish League. And he said he was not even looking at the direction of knight h5. So I think it makes sense, because normally the idea is that the greater your mastery, the greater the restriction. So Arjan's restriction is that knight h5 is ridiculous. I mean, why do you even need to look at this line? I'm looking at these lines. Maybe I don't know. I've seen this idea of knight h5 bishop h6, but I miscalculated it anyway. So we discarded it, both of us, for the wrong reasons. I thought it's not working, and he didn't think it might work. So he did play knight e5. Knight e5, knight e5, c takes on d5, rook e1. And I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy to enter this position, and especially against such a strong player like Arjan. It felt that this is a risk-free game. So my ambition was that after knight c5, knight e4, yeah, maybe there was a move like bishop g5, trying to bother the pawn on e7, but unfortunately, black has all the defensive moves. So like bishop b5, bishop d7, black is just in time to protect everything. And I'm thinking that I want to get this position. I want to give up the bishop. And after e6, somehow get the good knight against the bad bishop. Of course, he's never going to do it. Let's say f4, the bishop f6, trade the bishops, rook c1, the good knight against the bad bishop. Of course, I had no illusion that this is never going to happen. I was thinking also about knight e6. Okay, this was quite a weird line, because suddenly after knight e6, bishop e6, he could not protect the pawn. that was funny. So rook e8 is bishop b5. It's such a cheapo, but it works. Strange. And if he plays something like f6, then the bishop on e6 is under attack with a lot of trouble for black. I was getting amused that I'm even looking at lines like this. Of course, he didn't play it. He played bishop d7. And here, I had a very deep think, because I had no clue what to continue next. Now, I'm thinking, what should I do here? Should I expand at the king side? For that, I'm going to need king d2, h4, h5, rook h1, rook h2, rook h1. I'm thinking, nah, there's probably not a mate. Okay, maybe I need to expand at the queen side, because I understand perfectly well the concept of the space advantage. I'm thinking maybe I can start with king d2, rook c8, and let's say play b3 to play a4. Because he's going to want to push himself the queen side pawns with b5, a5, b4. This I understand perfectly. But then I'm looking at this position. What if he plays something like a6, a4, and e6? And now, for what reason did exactly I just weakened all those dark squares at the queen side? I sit, I try to understand. I don't understand. I don't like it. So why should I weaken the dark squares of b4 and c3? Alright. Yeah, e6 is a concession, but there's a fair chance he's gonna do it at some point anyway, otherwise his bishop on g7 is out of the game. It is a concession, it is. But how do you bring the bishop in the game? Not f6, right? f6 just opens the e file and opens all my pieces, which are perfectly positioned in the center. So I decided not to do it, which is not a great idea. I decided to play center-based chess. I'm gonna play king c1, I'm gonna press this pawn, and maybe somehow combine with the ideas of h4, h5. b5. I'm thinking, wait. I can take the pawn, right? I'm thinking bishop b5, bishop b5, knight b5. How do you continue? Because if he plays rook b8, this rook is under attack. If he plays rook c7, I have e6. And actually black loses something. Quite incredible. So, but you know, I have a feeling this stinks. I mean, there's no way this is working. And especially if your opponent is so strong, he definitely saw it coming. So what am I missing here? Rook b8 is knight c7, and rook b8 is knight a7. Of course, I very quickly found knight e6, the intermezzo move, closing the diagonal, and after something like bishop b3, rook b8, it felt this is too much. Yeah, this is too much. I mean, I wasn't even calculating any further. There's d4, there's rook b2 threat. This is too much. The pawn on e5 also is under attack, so I decided, okay, he was right. I could have taken it. I could have taken the pawn. But what should I do then? So I played c3. I was thinking also about the idea like king c1, continuing my intended plan, but I realized black is a lot faster at everything. And although I try to understand, maybe I can wait for him to create some weaknesses, but maybe I'm just creating a lot of problems by waiting passively, and my kingside attack is just ridiculous. There's no attack. I mean, it's just not existent. So again, I was double checking. I mean, I was questioning my chosen strategy. So I decided to play c3. c3, not to take the pawn on b5. He played a5. Here I made an inaccuracy. I should have played a3 right away. I played rook c1. And my idea was that after b4, I'm going to play b3. with the idea that after e6, maybe I'm slightly worse. But I'm holding it. I do have a reasonable piece activity. The flank pawn advances. Yeah, that's a great strategy. That's a great strategy. So, he didn't do it. He played e6. I fixed my mistake. He played bishop f8. Now b4 is a big threat. And the situation in the match is as follows. I'm desperately behind on the clock. I had something like 20 minutes. He had 50. So he is clearly in charge. He's pressing. I already was not very happy with my chosen approach. So that's why I decided, okay, listen, let's try to make a draw here. b4, a great move. And my ambition is I'm gonna create a bad bishop on d7 for black. Let's say he takes it. He takes it. He gives a check. Rook c2. Take it. Take it. Actually, there's a very fair chance that black is going to get worse because he has this bad bishop. I'm going to position my bishop here. The knight on d4. Rook a1. And the position is closed. And this knight is easily controlling all the dark squares at the queenside. So that was my idea. I mean, I was stopping playing calculating move by move chess, but I switched to the structure chess. I knew this idea from some French advanced variations where you secure your minor piece on d4 with a pawn structure like c3 and b4. And this knight on d4 is incredibly good. Sometimes it's a bishop, sometimes it's a knight. So he took it. He played rook c4. Now, my only goal is try to position every single piece on the color of the dark squares. Bishop e3. Take it. Here. Coming with a threat. And king d2. And here I was already very calm. I felt that the position is very secure. Probably because of the black's piece activity, I don't think I can hope for anything like more than a draw, but maybe I sit and wait and quietly wait for my chance. Maybe my opponent is gonna over push it. So he played bishop e7, f4, I secure my hold of the center. And after f6, now there was actually quite an amazing idea. Check out this idea. I'm thinking about knight f3, which is my first instinct. I should play knight f3. I want to secure the dark squares. I want to play bishop d4, put the bishop on d4, which very nicely holds everything together, and the knight is free to go. But I'm thinking he might give a check on a2. And if I play rook c2, now, because the knight is gone from the d4 square, I cannot recapture on c2 with a knight, and bishop b4, I just lose material. I drop it. I drop the line. Apparently what engine says, after rook a2, you can play king d3. Sacrifice the pawn. I tell you honestly, I didn't even think about such an idea. It's so difficult to spot it because your natural reaction is you want to protect the pawn on g2, so if the pawn falls, that's it, you don't calculate. So this is a standard pawn sacrifice in order to improve the position. Thank you, Nicola. How are you doing? And now the beautiful point is, after rook g2, I play bishop d4. And white dominates the dark squares. So f5, rook a1, here, rook g1, and even rook g1. Would you believe this? Black is in a lot of trouble. I mean, despite the fact that he has the extra pawn, h6, I can stop at h4, rook a1, rook a6, maybe prepare the idea of bishop c5, knight e4. This poor guy, I mean, just somebody send him a doctor or something, you know? It's poor bishop, yeah? But it costs a pawn. I'll tell you honestly, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it because my mindset is that rook a2 check loses a pawn, that's it, I drop it. And actually after knight f3, the best move that black could have done is bishop e8, try to improve the bishop like this. And open a new diagonal for the light square bishop, which is not doing anything at all. So I played rook c2, a very solid, and it was actually quite interesting. Yeah, rook g3 is also a threat, yeah. So f6, knight f3, rook a2 check, here, rook takes, yeah, this is also a threat. So I guess after rook g3, just play rook e3. And you protect everything, and then play knight e2, let's say f5, knight e2, takes, it's almost the same. It's almost the same idea. Of course, we have to evaluate what exactly changes with this g5 threat. So it's an amazing idea, and what happens is that after rook c2, he should have played g5, and I had a feeling that he should do it. But it costs a pawn. Take, and take. And I think if this was a rapid game, Aryan would play it without thinking. But you know, in a classical game, sometimes you're getting overly cautious with the decision making, and I think this typical pawn sacrifice to make e5, d4, bishop e5 happen is very natural, very natural. Maybe even bishop e8, bishop g6, because the pawn on e6 cannot be taken because black has a very serious pressure on the pawn on c3. So this g5 idea was literally asking to be played, and I guess I have to play g3, take it, and you know, the black king maybe is also kind of weak. Am I suggesting that the tendency in classical is to assume that the moves are deeper? Absolutely. Absolutely. So you think that Aryan didn't see g5? He saw g5. Absolutely, he saw g5. I'm absolutely sure this was his main idea. g5, sacrifice a pawn, but he just, either he was not happy, give up the pawn for unclear consequences, because for example, also here, what he has to understand, he has to understand that, let's say, even if he does push e5, or even if he does win the exchange, I might sacrifice it. So things don't simply change like that. So in a rapid game, you just play it. You just play because you feel, I mean, it's got to work, right? And sometimes in classical chess, you start to think too deep. You double, triple, quadruple check everything. You question the logical choices. Although this I would play in a blitz rapid in a heartbeat, g5. Or maybe he was also not very sure about this position, g5, takes, and he has an open king, right? And this is a time trouble. You don't want to make a very big decision, so it's an understandable choice that he didn't do it. So what happened is he tried to slowly improve the bishop on g6. There's nothing I can do. I have to quietly sit and wait. So I was trying to wait. If he opens the long diagonal for the bishop, I want to close it. Something like g4, h takes, h5. I want to make sure I have g5. So bishop h6 could be a big problem. Or if he does the same with h5, then I play g4. After, what do you say? After g5 takes, here. You mean the square on g4 for the knight? How do you want to get the knight there? How do you get the knight there? I'm not sure how do you want to get the knight on g4. I mean, it's gonna take you forever. Here. No, this is too long. This is not gonna happen. Anyway, what I'm saying is that this is not such an easy choice. It's not an easy choice, and also if the bishop goes here, the pawn on b5 is hanging, right? So what happened here is that he shuffled pieces here and there, I shuffled pieces here and there. We have both of us time trouble. This is move 31. He had maybe 5 minutes, I had maybe 2 minutes, but for me it's easier. I sit and wait. And now he made a strange move, rook a6, and I think he was trying to be a bit cautious with a pawn on e6, because if he plays bishop e8, once again he sacrifices the pawn on e6, right? Knight e6, bishop g6, and maybe I just sacrifice the exchange. Let's say I play bishop d4. Maybe not right away, but the idea. Take it, and it could be very tricky, you know? So despite the fact that black has won the exchange, now suddenly the things are going quite easy for white. Maybe I don't even need to sacrifice the exchange. Maybe I just play something like rook b2, right? Why do I need it? But I could even play this, something like this. Like maybe knight e4, bishop c2, rook c2, threaten the pawn, try not to play bishop e3, and in that time trouble, this is an incredibly difficult choice because he has to expect that white might want to sacrifice the exchange. Not sure, I think I missed something there. Isn't overthinking a potential problem? No. No. That's why it's a classical chess. You're thinking about these deep ideas, F. So he played rook a6, and his idea is to get the bishop on g6. Now that the pawn on e6 is protected, but what he forgot is that the rook on a3 served another purpose. It guards the b3 square for the knight, so I immediately played it, knight b3, with the idea to play bishop c5 and knight e4. Here, I started to get ambitious, because the entire middle game, I was fighting to get equal. I was fighting to hold it together, because I was not very happy the way I played it out, so I was just waiting for my chance. Now there's my chance. I start to fight for something more. He executes his idea, bishop c5, beautiful idea. I want to trade the dogs for bishop so that I can put my knight on d4. Here, bishop g7, and now, yeah. This was the moment when my mindset changed. I thought, I want to win this game. Why is this? Because I felt that black has slightly misplayed the position. And that's why I played the very ambitious move, bishop d6, which is a terrible move. But it comes with a threat of knight c5. Now, if I had the same mindset I had in the middle game to hold everything together, I would have played simply bishop d4. Bishop d4, now knight c5 is not a threat, but I'm keeping everything in check. So I'm gonna play rook a1, take over the a file, put back the knight, and this was the cautious way to continue. So I played bishop d6, and I thought that knight c5 is such a big idea, but deep inside I felt this is wrong. This is wrong. I mean, I couldn't explain why this is wrong. I had a feeling that there's gonna be something, but I decided to gamble, and he immediately responded with a mistake. So apparently what he could have done is this very powerful idea. Now check out this one. h5. I could have played g4. The rook stands on c4. There's a problem. I play knight c5. I win a pawn. But what about the g4 threat? And apparently black is just dominating. So let's say king e1, g4, rook d1, rook c3. Black is strategically winning because he has an amazing piece activity. Now look at those bishops on g6 and h6. They're controlling the, incredible long diagonals. The rooks are active. Maybe somehow d4, d3, d2 is incoming. Maybe there's a checkmate threat. Maybe there's a pawn knight threat. That's it. This is game over. I did not see that. He did not see that. So he was also already here, down in the last 2 minutes or so. But what I'm saying is, in time trouble, listen to your gut instinct. He played rook f4. Threatened with rook f2 check. I play here. He gave a check. I play here. Now the critical moment arises here. I see that he's threatening with a mate. I mean, not immediately, but as soon as the knight goes away from b3. And I'm thinking, can I play rook e1? Maybe make a draw. So I didn't do this. I saw this tactical shot. Bishop c3, rook d2, king f7. But my gut instinct says this is bad. And maybe I have a strength on d6, maybe it's a weakness. I mean, who knows, right? So I tried to calculate knight e4, e5, knight b5, takes, king e6. I saw this position, so it felt... I'm probably losing, right? The pawn on d6 is gonna fall, and he has these amazing pawns in the center backed by the bishop. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna do this. I try to centralize my knight, rook a1, and it's very easy to blunder mate, so I cannot do this. Oops, that's a mate. So I play king e3. He played rook d1, and he played rook d1 and offered me a draw. And this was a very interesting moment, you know. I'm looking at this position and I'm thinking, why? Why should I agree to draw here? Because he was pushing me the entire game for the win. Entire game. I mean, I misplayed the opening. I got nothing out of the opening for the content and played this knight f3 d3 system. And he was playing very aggressively the entire game, trying to push for something. He played Caro for the fight. And now suddenly in this position, it felt that agreeing to a draw I must have been elated to even get a draw for it. F, you really wrong. You really badly know me, I guess. No, I wasn't even considering to accept a draw. Why is this? Because, I mean, it's about psychology. So he was pushing the entire game for the win. And it felt that this is my chance. And I had very quickly decided I'm going to decline it. I'm going to decline it. I don't care. For the content. For the content. I'm going to decline. But also, I wanted to send a message. If you overpush it, you have to face consequences that you are risking to lose the game. So that was one reason why I decided I want to continue. And the second continue is this a drawing position to you? So it felt like, I mean, agreeing to draw here, this is chickening out. You're chickening out. I mean, right? I mean, I see the first difficulties and I immediately chicken out of the fight, right? I mean, and I decided, yeah, okay, I mean, I have to continue. So I didn't even consider the draw. Seriously, if he would have offered it here, I would agree. I would agree. Absolutely. Because I was low on the time. I saw no active plans. But my approach was that I was waiting for him to make some kind of a mistake. And although I have these beautiful dark square weaknesses, I can dream about trading the dark square bishops. This is still never going to happen. And if black waits, I wait. And normally this is how the game would have continued. But he's pushing. He's pushing. He's trying to improve the position. He's desperately looking for those chances. And that's why here, I already told you, this is where I got ambitious here. Although it's technically a mistake. And now, accept a draw here. No, I'm not gonna do it. I had maybe 2 minutes. He had maybe 2 minutes as well. So I played it. So I played rook d2 here and knight b5. So the first time control ended. And I felt that declining the draw offer also is gonna give me a big psychological boost. Because chess is very often psychological. So nobody likes that their draw offers are being declined. This is some kind of a message, right? And I felt that I should benefit from that. And he immediately made a mistake after knight b5. I mean, wait, this was still okay move? Bishop e8? Although I was concerned that I'm gonna blunder a mate somewhere, something like rook f4. Rook f4, rook e4, maybe h5, bishop h6, so the king is somewhere in the middle walking. I didn't see him mate, neither did he, and there was no mate. So he played bishop e8 to get to the pawn on c3. I had a choice to go either knight c7 or knight e4. I felt that I had to play knight c7 because this is attacking the bishop and forcing matters. Because if I play knight e4, he can take it, rook d3, and the thing is he's not obliged to take it because this gives me a very strong pass pawn. Now that would be great. But he's not gonna do it. He's gonna play, I don't know, something like rook c1. And there's stuff like bishop g6, there's stuff like h5, g4, and this poor guy is somewhere in the middle of all of it. I cannot get it to h2. I don't know. So I decided to play knight c7. And he had to pick up already a very difficult defense. So what I calculated here is he might take it. I play rook d3, and if he takes it here, this should be lost. This is what I calculated to be winning, because b5, b6, b7. Now this is a very strong pass pawn. These pieces are limiting him to send any help. So if he goes after the e-pawn here, I just push it. I just push it. So there's a very fair chance that he's simply gonna lose the bishop, even if I'm gonna take it. Let's say bishop c8, maybe I can play b7, but maybe I just can hunt down the bishop. Something like rook a8, rook b8, rook a7, and try to promote for free. And his ex-pawn in the center doesn't mean a thing, because I have a very strong advanced pawn. So this I calculated. I also had to make sure there's no rook c7. Rook c7, bishop c7, bishop b5. But after rook a2, he has to take. And again, he has the same problem. So he has the better pawn structure, but I have a very strong pass pawn. So rook b2, b5, b6, b7, or maybe put the rook here and just march it. March to the queen. So I felt this is winning. Also, I had to calculate, which was apparently the best move, bishop h5. And I tell you honestly, I did not know how should I play here, because the most obvious move, of course, is g4. And there are many tricks. There are many tricks like rook c3, rook d3. I was afraid I'm gonna miss some kind of a check, some kind of a check here, or some kind of disordered moves like bishop g6, king c3. Maybe the pawn on h3 now is weak, right? And I try to understand, I mean, how it feels together. And actually, you know what the engine is saying here? d4 and rook c6 equal. Equal. How do you like that? This is equal possession. You know, okay, this is beyond me because I still have the extra pawn. The pawn on e6 is under attack. I can still sacrifice the exchange for a pawn. I don't know. I mean, I didn't understand it. Neither did he. But I felt that the bishop h5, on the intuition level, I felt that this had to be the move. And also, I can sacrifice the exchange, and this is what I was calculating. Maybe I can drop the exchange. So say knight e6, he's gonna take it, and rook e2. Because I want to take on g7 and push my e-pawn very fast. So there's some incredible lines, like, for example, like rook c3, king d4, and white just wins. Despite the fact that white is down in exchange for a pawn, he wins, because the e-pawn is advancing very, very fast. And also, I saw this move, rook d1. Rook d2, I'm not sure if I saw rook d2, this I discovered in the analysis, and check out this position. White just continues playing without exchange, and it's equal. So this is equal, right? A very obvious equal. So white is just playing down an exchange, the b-pawn is advancing, and somehow this is a draw. Yeah, the e-pawn is the real winner. So I don't know what I would have played after bishop h5. I had some ideas, so while he was calculating, I was calculating, and he played bishop a4. And And I felt this is wrong. This is wrong. This cannot work. And of course, there's immediate knight e6. I try to calculate rook a2 also to activate my rook, but I decided, okay, listen, let's try to clarify the situation here. Knight e6, and now check out this line. If he takes it, obviously I cannot go here because I dropped the exchange. I go here. He goes here. I go here. He goes here. I go here. There's no discovered check. So this bishop has nowhere to go, really. I mean, to make this discovered check a real threat. It looks incredibly scary, but for example, this, white just wins. The king is a piece. I'm about to promote my king. All right. So he realized that, and he played bishop b5 instead. Again, this gave me a choice. I thought I can at least sacrifice the exchange, but why should I do it? I play rook f2. And there's no follow-up for black, because my plan is just go with the king. Yeah. So once again, if he would play... this is what he played, rook c3, king goes here. He played... this check gives nothing, I just go forward. So he played here. And I take on g7. I make sure there's no checkmate. There's no checkmate. After rook c4 check, I'm going to go forward. And the best moment is here. I mean, I see, of course, I can take the pawn on d5. It's a free pawn, right? But I'm kind of concerned about my king on e6 here. And I don't see what's wrong with that. But, you know, you'd still get a bit scared. Although there's a check on f7, there's a check here, the king don't even go to e7. Also, there's this check, by the way. And where do I go with the king? King c6, bishop e6. So you already have to pick up bishop c5, because this is how you get into trouble. And essentially, black has a lot of pieces to hunt down your king. So that looks incredibly scary. So what I did is just play bishop c5. No. I play bishop c5. I use this pawn as a shield. I want to play e5, e6, king e5, king e6. No. And that's it. Black is just toast. So there's nothing he can do. Rook c4 check is king d5. Now my king on d5 is feeling very secure. So after bishop c6, e6, he cannot play rook e1. The rook on c3 is under attack, a major blow. And the game finished very quickly. So king e5, I want to play king d6. This pawn is completely irrelevant. Here I simplify the position. I mean, I could have played king d6 for the content, like this. And some sort of e7, but I mean, why do I need it? Right? There's some discovered checks, king c7, I mean, why do I need this? Rook c6 check, king b7. Of course it's winning, but it looks a bit gambling. Just a second. Yeah, so it looks a bit gambling, so I decided not to do it. And I simply traded rooks, rook e2. So after take it, king g6, white very quickly got the winning position, despite the fact this is opposite our bishops, which so far won pawns. This is a matter of time. So the simplest continuation was to take the pawn on d5, just in case, because this position has got to be winning. And after a couple of moves, that's it. So black had no choice but to resign. He made one more final little joke, inside joke, threatened with the mate. So you know, you never know. Maybe white touches the b pawn. He's like, yeah. So there's a chance, right? Even if it's a small chance, it still might happen. But of course, it didn't happen. I took on e8. And he resigned.